This is Better Days podcast, covering things that are not from this year. No current talk, since current talk is no fun. So we're going to talk about Better Days. Today's topic, Mr. Will Ferrell, the famous actor, comedian, baseball player, producer, executive producer, creator of things, and all
He was
around
an newscaster. He was a race car driver. He's done a lot.
all around Mr. Funny Man,
Yeah.
Will Ferrell, who was one of our favorite actors, comedians, / all that when we were teenagers.
Yes.
We decided to dedicate a whole episode to Mr. Will Ferrell.
It's the least we can do.
So we'll start with the early days. Will Ferrell was born. No, I'm just kidding. The early days.
I got that info if you want it.
I mean, people can go to Wikipedia if they really want. He was born in the 60s, I'm assuming?
I think he's 53.
67.
He's 53.
53. John.
His birthday. His birthday was a few days ago, July 16th.
Yeah. Well, happy 53rd birthday, Mr. So John William Ferrell was born July 16, 1967 in Irvine, California.
He's a West Coast boy.
West Coast, born and raised.
And that's where it originally started, the Groundlings, the second city of the West Coast. That's where he got his feet wet.
Yes.
Was doing that stuff.
So we'll start with how everybody was introduced. Most everybody was introduced to Will Ferrell was Saturday Night Live. This was Will Ferrell was one of the first comedians after one of the greatest casts, in my opinion. The early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s cast with Sandler, Spade, Farley, Chris Rock, Mike Myers, Kevin Nealon, Norm Macdonald, like one of the greatest. And I'm sure we'll dedicate an episode to that era of Saturday Night Live at some point. But I just remember that was my favorite era of Saturday Night Live. And then all of a sudden, Sandler wasn't on it anymore. Farley wasn't on it anymore. Maybe Spade. I can't remember who exactly left in the middle of that season. And then there's these couple new people, Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry and Chris Kattan. I remember vividly seeing that opening theme with the new cast. I was like, who the hell are these people? They just, I don't know. Even their look, they just didn't, I don't know. They seemed like they didn't fit with the rest of that cast at first. But boy, were we wrong.
Yes, we were.
And I'm trying to remember one of his first really popular sketches where, Mr. Ferrell stood out. Obviously, the cheerleaders is
I was just going to say that.
That's the first thing that comes to my head. I'm not sure if that was the first or one of the first. But I mean, the cheerleaders, and later on, George Bush, I think he's more recognized for it too. Is there anything you can think of right off the top of your head? A super reoccurring one. I know there's a lot of one.
The famous cowbell one is probably the one that he lives in infamy.
Of course.
The cowbell one. And then there's the 9/11 one where he's patriotic and he's wearing a G-string of the American flag and he's trying to pass it off as being patriotic, and he's just putting his bulge on people. And there's the dog one where he's basically he just gives verbal abuse to your dog.
I think that's where Will Ferrell shines. He does have some reoccurring characters, but I think just Will Ferrell's just random one-off, all you just said, the patriotic guy and the dog, and just the one-offs where it was just odd. And I think that's why Will Ferrell shined, because he was one of the older guys right off the bat, wasn't he? The oldest cast member, or at least looked the part. But then there's just
that's that West Coast sun, man, on the white skin.
Yeah, just really dry, wacky humor that was opposite of the over-the-top Farley, Sandler, Dana Carvey, Mike Myers characters. I think that was the shift. The humor kind of shifted from that cast to the late 90s cast.
Well, the thing about the beloved early 90s cast that's near and dear to us and our generation is it wasn't near and dear to like anybody else, really.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Sandler was fired for basically not being funny. That's basically what happened. Chris Farley started like being high all the time, and basically like if you see some of his later episodes, he's just like messed up, screaming, falling down. I mean, that's what he did anyway, but it was just like, oh, I'm going through my routine. He was a mess. And they wanted to do an overhaul. Like the guy who was in charge of NBC, and obviously it was a big mistake because look at what Adam Sandler went on to do. I think it was one of those things where like the audience liked it, but like the suits didn't like it. It was too edgy. It was too like sexual. It was too out there. So they did an overhaul and they brought in new people. They kept on Spade. They kept on Tim Meadows to anchor it. And then, yeah, it was Will Ferrell, Cheryl Terry, Chris Kattan, dude from Kids in the Hall, Daryl Hammond, who played Bill Clinton. He had a good career.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of eventually, I mean, they had Mad TV launched at that time to kind of take them out. So, I mean, it was considered the second golden age, pretty much. The golden age is the 70s. Then the Phil Hartman one, which is like the late 80s. People don't look at the Adam Sandler. I mean, after the fact they do, but at the time it's like, this is trash.
Well, we're talking.
Not me.
No, you're right, because we were like pre-teens.
You do an Opera Man, and people are like, "What the fuck is this?" Like,
yeah, I mean, as kids we loved it, but I could see now. We're going to cover this again at one point because I want to discuss like all of Saturday Night Live or just the 90s and up. So, but yeah, so that just shows the transition. But you're right. I remember after the fact, like watching a couple of documentaries that even like the ratings tanked. But to us as kids, it was awesome. Just goofy ass Sandler, goofy ass Farley. And I can't remember if the movies like Tommy Boy and Billy Madison, if that was after they left or before they left, but obviously
Farley was still on SNL when he made Tommy Boy. And I think Adam might have made Billy Madison, but
anyway,
it was
Will Ferrell's
that's
mad
a preview to another one.
Will Ferrell's mad at us right now because we're not talking enough about him. So back to that. Yeah. So I think, there was a shift, but that late 90s cast, now, I mean, we didn't pay attention to ratings as kids, but I think that era did well.
It's considered a golden age of SNL. It really is.
Yeah. And he left. I mean, he was pretty much the next Sandler in terms of obviously the most famous and the one who you kind of tuned in for, like what crazy skit is Will Ferrell going to be in? So he lasted about 5 years, 6 years?
I have my notes.
Oh,
1995 to 2002.
So 7 years. 2002. And I guess you should have done more prep. Did he leave for movies?
On his own.
He didn't get fired.
No, he left on his own accord. I don't think they wanted him to leave.
Mm-hmm. But he saw that movie money.
Well, he made Anchorman in 2004, and I mean, he was in a lot of movies that were like not very well received. He was in Night at the Roxbury. He was in that Superstar movie. I love
that movie.
Huh?
I love that movie.
The Ladies' Man. I've seen that movie like 10 times, and those movies are like crappy comedies. I mean, they're funny. You watch them on video, like at the time, or like now.
But they were perfect for our age. Like,
right?
We were stoners, but just like that stoner young
silliness
didn't make. I mean, obviously, probably critics hated it, and even looking back today, they're probably dumb, pointless movies.
It's something you'd watch on TV, like, and not like invest in.
Right.
But Will Ferrell in all three of those movies was dynamite.
Yeah.
Like he was the highlight of The Ladies' Man. He was the highlight of Sorry. The Molly Shannon movie.
Superstar.
Superstar. He was the highlight of that. He was like
Yep.
the boy. He was a love interest, and he was the highlight of.
What did you say?
Yeah. But
wasn't he Chip the dancer? Look at his dance moves. He's doing like the robot.
Yes.
And then, obviously, I think his biggest breakout role, his first breakout role, was Frank the Tank in Old School.
Yes.
Frank the Tank.
Yes.
Frank the Tank. Frank the Tank.
He was in Austin Powers. Remember? He had a very vulnerable. I'm just pointing out his early like him getting into Hollywood.
Yeah. I think he was Mustafa. He's the minion who wouldn't die.
He was in 2 Austin Powers movies, and then he's in just these random indie films they look like. But Old School put him on the map. Old School made him a household name. That streaking, his nasty ass running through the quad. Snoop Dogg's people about to mess him up because he's not getting too close to him.
Maybe Back and Beyond. Only if we have time. I don't know if we're gonna have time. So good.
What's funny about that is that really showcased like everything he was doing on SNL in the movie, pretty much.
Yeah. His
wild, eccentric mood swings, his craziness.
But then like just weird, wacky, like weird, wacky is a pretty broad term. Just like he just played the middle. He played, a character that had violent outbursts, but was also down to earth and didn't make sense. And
that, he's a man-child.
The likable, unlikable guy.
He's a man-child.
Yeah.
He was like some guy who never grew up. That was like in Step Brothers. He's basically that was probably like another every Will Ferrell kind of like showcase is just this like grown man who's just like infantile, but still at the same time likable.
But then his first, without looking at notes, I'm assuming after that his first.
I'm looking at porn.
Oh, okay. Leading role, Anchorman, the legend of Ron Burgundy, and that was his first creation with Adam Mckay.
I believe so. Apatow, I think, produced it. Okay. Apatow is involved in it, but he wrote it, and that's something he wrote like years before, either some skit or something, and they turned it into a movie, and that solidified his. Old School was an ensemble kind of comedy. You had Vince Vaughn and you had Luke Wilson, who at the time were like notable people, and now like no one would probably recognize them on the street. Mm-hmm. Vince Vaughn looks sketchy, man, in a Curb, but anyway, like. That Anchorman was pretty much, that was him. Like he was the driving force. I mean, yeah, he had Paul Rudd. Yeah, he had David Koechner, but that was all him. That was like an hour and a half Will Ferrell SNL skit, and it was just marvelous. It was gold. It was.
I mean, so many quotes, so many catchphrases. I mean, that probably led the catchphrase of that whole decade.
Yeah. And then you had Talladega Nights after that, which was very popular. That's not really a favorite of mine, though. For some reason, it doesn't really resonate with me. Yeah, as the others.
I think it wasn't as well of a movie as a whole, but in terms of like again, like the catchphrases and the his interactions with John C. Reilly's character with
and Sacha Baron Cohen's funny.
Yeah. But in terms of like what's most memorable from that movie?
I'm just saying, what's most memorable from that movie is probably, like you said, him and John C. Reilly.
I feel like the dinner scene.
Yeah, the baby Jesus or his dad, or the guy who played his dad was great.
And the kids.
Or pot dealing grandpa. He's like, oh, they're my grandkids. So.
Yeah, the grandkids. So that was two blockbusters. What was after that?
After I can't look at my notes, okay? So
I'm guessing Step Brothers. I don't know if that was the next one.
Step Brothers was 2008. In between that, I mean, I could be wrong. That was 2006 was Talladega Nights. So I guess it might have been Step Brothers after that. I know he did that ice skating movie. Remember Blaze of Glory with Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah.
I like that, but it wasn't like people don't regard that as one of his best films.
Now,
it had the silliness that we're talking about, though. It just, I don't know.
I was not a fan of Step Brothers right away.
Whoa.
Seriously, like no, on first watch.
Wow.
On first watch, and I've it's an unpopular opinion, but it's not the first time I've heard that.
Well, I watched it with my dad, and he's got a good sense of humor, and he's like, "This isn't even a movie. This is just some like thing." I'm like, "Whatever, whatever."
I think that's because it was John C. Reilly again, and it was a departure. It just went way to the right in terms of, like you just said, it was just it really took the silliness to the next level. And after rewatch, it's like, holy crap! Not once you knew what it was, and it's like, all right, this movie's hilarious.
Yeah.
Just like the whole, like you said, the man-child thing.
Do you remember? I think after that though, he did Semi-Pro. Did you like Semi-Pro? It was pretty close. Pretty close. So in that era, you had Step Brothers, The Blades of Glory, and Semi-Pro. And
I think the blockbusters, so Anchorman and Talladega Nights. I think the further away you depart from those, the more, like you said, sillier and just not as good of a movie as a whole. They turn into like cult comedy movies as opposed to easily digestible comedy for everybody. And so those movies, like I said, I think like once you watch it the first time, it's like, this is kind of like dumb, silly. But then like once you know what it is and rewatch it, it gets funnier. Now, that's how Step Brothers was for me. Also hype. You got to remember like the promotion machines behind these. You look forward to another Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly movie for months, and then it's something that you didn't think it was, which is kind of how every movie is now with hype.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then like I would call them my like more cult films, where the Semi-Pro and the Blaze of Glory. They're funny, but I don't think they're as good of a movie as a whole. I shouldn't say good. That's not the right term. But I think that's Will Ferrell and his company, his co-writers and producers and all that, chose to go that route as opposed to the blockbuster, easily digestible comedy. And I think that's why he's kind of faded over time.
What about like the obvious desperate attempts at a blockbuster where you pair him with Kevin Hart and Get Hard, where it's just basically an hour and a half of rape jokes, or then you pair him with Mark Wahlberg.
I watched that movie and I don't remember that movie at all.
It was basically like in like 30 seconds to 10 seconds, rich guy gets set up for a crime. He's afraid of getting raped in prison. Kevin Hart is like this guy who runs a car wash. He thinks he's black. He doesn't think he's black. He's black, so he assumes he's like a criminal. Kevin Hart is like, I'm going to teach you how to survive in prison. Everything's like about getting raped. Ha ha ha. It gets like to the point where it's not funny anymore. Mm-hmm. But Will Ferrell doesn't play that I'm mad anger person. He plays that lame white guy, like, just like not with it, lame, nerdy. Like he played it. You see the other guys. Like I thought the other guys was really good. That was his first pairing with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. So that's kind of what
Mckay.
And Daddy's Home.
That was with Mark Wahlberg. But so
we're jumping around a lot. So
the other guys, as I lumped that in with a blockbuster because it was a blockbuster. It made a lot of money and it was well received. It was him and Mark Wahlberg. But like Daddy's Home, his second pairing with Mark Wahlberg, and then his Kevin Hart pairing, those are like desperate attempts to be like mainstream kind of. Like you got a black guy, and then you got this nerdy white guy, and then they're in prison. I mean, it's just like a cliche kind of thing. Same thing. Mark Wahlberg is a stepdad. He's a badass. Will Ferrell's his nerdy dad. Will Ferrell's a stepdad. He's nerdy. No one loves him. Mark Wahlberg's a deadbeat dad. Shows up. He's a badass. They learn like how to be friends through a bunch of crazy things that happen. I mean, it's just like, it's forced, man. Like it's lazy. It's those movies don't have that silliness to them. Those movies are more like Hollywood formulas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It got to a point where he can't lead a movie by himself. He has to have some other guy with him. I mean, Daddy's Home was more of like a mainstream family kind of film, not like a Will Ferrell, Adam McKay, like crazy, skit movie. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Now, I know he did some quote unquote serious movies, but I couldn't tell you.
He just did Downhill with Julia Dreyfus, and that was not well received. I'm looking at this Metacritic score. It's a 43, and I think it was one of those independent films, so it didn't get like a big release. Somewhere I want to say it's some sort of remake from an old film, but it's supposed to be just really bad. Maybe a dark comedy, more of a drama. Not good. And then he made Everything Must Go. I like that. I think that was well received.
Yeah,
Again,
that's the one where he sells everything.
he's accused of rape because he's alcoholic.
Yeah.
And like his wife locks him out of the house, and everything's on the lawn. Notorious B.I.G. son's in it. He's like the kid that's riding around. That basically they become friends and hang out. That wasn't a blockbuster, but it wasn't meant to be. It was like an indie film. Like some films aren't meant to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart in a movie that's meant to be a blockbuster. You got some Will Ferrell in some movie where it's basically him on his lawn and it costs like $1 million. Not meant to be a blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. So then, and he also did voice acting, which, I mean, I don't know if you get credit for being voice actor.
Sure you do.
But
Sure
I mean, credit, but in terms of like the movie and the role, but he was
you remember the Oblogs? Did you ever watch the
Oblogs?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I remember it, but I don't think I ever watched it.
He was a dad, and he had like no arms and legs. Not that that's funny, but it was just his voice, and I don't know.
Yeah.
They had like
I remember that now. I don't know if I ever watched it.
There's probably had better stuff to do, like unlike me.
Yeah. I just know his voice of the President Business in the Lego Movie, and then the voice of Megamind.
Megamind.
And I think he was. Didn't he do some like Family Guy appearances?
I don't know. I think everyone's done Family Guy at some point.
So anyway, but probably Will Ferrell can go down as like if you look at his movie career as a whole, not too good in terms of like how well the movies are received.
Yeah,
we failed to mention
what
another failure, the Sherlock Holmes.
Holmes and Watson.
I
was saving that. I was up my sleeve.
And well, then, in my opinion, the other failure, Anchorman 2.
No, 1 second. We're going to talk about that 1 second.
Okay, all right.
I had this piece of paper and I can't find it, but it was the trajectory of his box office success from when he started till now, and it's like that. What,
up and down?
Can you see it with the thing up? Yeah, like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Basically, it peaks like in the mid 2000s, then it just goes down, and it's like right here, right now.
So that's just how much money the movies have made?
Yeah, well received. Yeah, financially. Because, I mean, he made The House, which made no money, and that's, again, some weird – that's him back to being weird and shit. His weird, like, you know, he's with Amy Poehler. Again, he's some milquetoast, lame dad, though. That seemed to be, like, the role he's been playing.
Mm-hmm.
That bombed. Holmes and Watson bombed. I mean, Get Hard. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. I hope it bombed. It did deserve success.
Now, is him and Mckay's partnership still – didn't they dissolve?
Over now. They produced Eastbound and Down. And he was in Eastbound and Down.
That character, what's his name? The car dealer?
Yeah.
He's gold in that.
And they produced Dead to Me on Netflix.
That's a great show.
I love that. I've watched both seasons.
I heard it was canceled.
I thought season 3 would
maybe it's not canceled, but like the next season is going to be the last.
So, but like Funny or Die is disbanding, and Adam McKay, they're no longer making movies anymore, which may be why his movies aren't doing well, because Adam McKay is his golden goose. Adam McKay, like, because when you think about like him on SNL, he had a lot of funny writers in that era, and he could really work. Every documentary I watched, they loved him because he would do anything they wanted him to do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when you got some writers for like a script, it might not be as good. I don't know. I mean, Adam McKay's done Vice. Adam McKay did The Big Short. Oscar nominations. He doesn't need that.
So McKay's latest, they're more serious.
Yes, the Vice. Have you seen Vice?
Vice is very good. I like The Big Short better.
Okay, I haven't watched The Big Short.
I like those. Just The Big Short's really I enjoyed that movie.
I've seen Vice, and I really liked Vice, and I really think it was good. And I think that's the direction he wants to go. I don't think he wants to make silly movies anymore.
Mhm.
If you watch like the other guys, which is I think one of the final few movies he's made with them, it was about financial crimes. So he wants to make like political, not just political, but like movies, not just like silly. His art's changing. So I mean, and then Will Ferrell makes Sherlock and Holmes and Watson, which is just some nonsense shit. I mean, I don't know. He needs better writers, maybe. I don't know. He wrote that movie on Netflix. Did you watch that?
The Eurovision?
Yeah.
No. Is it? How was that?
Again,
It just looked like a film that I would regret watching. But maybe
it's okay. It's humorous. It's funny. Would you die like regretting not seeing it? No. I thought it was okay. If I paid like, $12 to see it in a theater, I might be upset, but like seeing it for free on Netflix, which might be the saving grace for him, since it's like been the saving grace for Adam Sandler,
Mhm.
is something that's not like that awesome or is weird or has a niche audience. You don't like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he made that other Netflix, Casa Mi Padre or something. It was like all in Spanish. Do you remember that? It's like maybe 5 years ago. It was like black and white in Spanish, I think.
Sounds familiar.
I never saw it. But it was basically like some Spanish soap opera.
Well, I think it's done. I mean, obviously, if you have a career, a 20-year career, they're obviously not going to
Peaks
be
and
all
valleys.
right.
It's peaks and
Uh,
valleys.
and even Sandler, I guess. I mean, Sandler's movies are very different. Um, but even I know his movies make money.
He hasn't had the bombs that Will has had. He's had a few bombs, but not as many as Will.
I feel like every Sandler movie bombs.
No, no. Like for like a while, like all his movies were making like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, no. There's a difference between making money. I said they did make money, but in terms of like the way the critics.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, god
Yeah,
awful reviews, all of them.
yeah.
Will Ferrell has better review track record, probably.
Because a Sandler movie is so like there's a formula to every Sandler movie. Most the ones that he makes, his production companies make.
Not to get on a thing about Adam Sandler because it's about Will Ferrell, but Adam Sandler creates this world that's not realistic, where everything's simplistic, and it's a world that makes people like it's stupid. It's not. I mean, I've seen Grown Ups. I've seen Grown Ups too. They're not bad movies, but they're like, I don't know. They're dumbed down.
If
They're
you know
really
you're
dumbed
going to be, I think because you're right. Because if you know you're going to be in that world, then you like the movie more because
You don't know what world you're going to be in with Will.
Right.
You don't know if it's going to be an hour and a half late 90s SNL skit, or you don't know it's going to be some family friendly, pair him up with another star, and let's make rape jokes for an hour and a half because that's hilarious. I mean,
yeah. I hate to keep talking about Adam Sandler. Did you see that?
let's just make this an Adam Sandler episode.
I watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Did you see that episode where do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I do, but he was on one.
Yeah, he was like one of the first seasons. Like the Andy Samberg's character was doing like an auction, and Adam Sandler was there. He goes, "Hey, how about he's just typical Sandler." He goes, "Hey, how about I put a sock in your mouth?" He goes, "Oh, it's Adam Sandler here. What are you taking time?" He goes, "Thanks for dressing up, by the way." So it was like a charity. He's just wearing his Sandler gear.
Oh, he was playing himself.
Yeah, it's a great clip. But he's like, I'm taking time to make a serious movie about something. I don't know about mafia or something. And this is a great podcast talk. But Andy Samberg's character's like, "Oh yeah, what's Kevin James playing?" He goes, "No man, it's a serious movie. He's playing so and so." I forgot. I think it's like episode 10, first season. Anyway,
what Adam did that Will didn't is he had Punch Drunk Love, which was an artsy indie drama kind of creepy movie, and then recently he had The Cobbler, which I don't know if that people like that. I was like, I don't want to watch it.
I'm gonna kibosh this.
What?
No, we gotta move. We got back to Will's getting.
I am. What he did that Will needs to do is like, okay, so he had Uncut Gems this year, nominated for an Oscar. Will has never been in a real successful like drama. He never crossed over. Like Jim Carrey did the same thing. I mean, most comedic actors eventually start being in serious movies, like Robin Williams. Will Ferrell has not. He did like that Everything Must Go movie, but like this downhill thing was a piece of shit apparently. So I don't know. I mean, I can see him playing a serial killer. I mean, right?
Yeah. It's almost like he needs that one movie
Comeback.
that comeback that
That was supposed to be Anchorman 2.
like Funny People with Sandler.
That was supposed to be Anchorman 2.
No, I mean like a semi-serious but also funny movie that, you know, kind of like
movie.
Yeah.
Like a 3-hour like comedy about relationships and everyone getting high and shit.
Just like remake Funny People. Funny People? That was the name of that movie, right?
Yeah.
Remake Funny People and just put Will Ferrell in there.
What about Anchorman 2 though?
Funny People 2, starring Will Ferrell.
Go to Anchorman 2 though. You hated it. You considered it a bomb.
I didn't even finish watching it.
So I take it that you didn't watch the 2.5-hour unedited rated R version.
I don't know.
Okay. I watched it in theaters and I liked it. I don't know what these people want. What do you expect? It was overhyped. Every sequel is going to be overhyped. You want to recreate nostalgia. You can never recreate it, okay? I thought it was a solid sequel. Now, the 2.5 one that I saw, 2.5-hour one I saw, I think it was on Netflix or something, rated R, unedited. My God, that is some of the funniest shit. Anchorman, Schmankerman, it's just the funniest shit because they're just like doing whatever they want. And it's funny. And like some scenes go on for like 20 minutes that like they cut. Like it's way better than the version they put out.
Whatever it was, I don't know. It was too far. But just like you said, it was hyped. It could have been a product of hype, and it was something that I didn't expect it was going to be. So I dismissed it. I just thought it was too over the top.
Whenever you hear there's like a scary movie, whenever you hear there's a scary movie that's the scariest movie ever, it's not going to be scary. You're going to go in there going, this isn't scary. Same thing with Anchorman. Oh, that's the greatest comedy of our time. Here comes a sequel. It's not going to be as good. You're going to go in thinking it sucks.
But it wasn't even like the same. It wasn't even like the same format, the same. And like I said, I watched it whenever it came out, whenever it was released on DVD or whatever, Blu-ray, digital release. Yeah, I couldn't tell you which version I watched. I don't know if I watched the unrated 2.5-hour cut or the theatrical release.
I think the unrated one was only on Netflix. So unless you watched it on
Netflix, I think I rented it.
Because I remember I was like dying.
Maybe I go back and rewatch it.
It's 2.5 hours though, and it's rated R. So like it's like not. It's more. They made a PG-13 for the theaters. Like this is it's just way better. It's almost like a shame.
Yeah,
it's a shame. Like there's this scene where he goes to the black family's table, and like he's saying like stupid shit, and he like offends everybody. That's like 20 minutes long in the R-rated one, and it's way more like just ridiculous.
Huh. But once again, critics hated it, and it didn't make any money.
Did they hate it though?
I thought so. I thought it bombed.
No, it didn't bomb. It made money.
Let me see.
I know for a fact it does. It made over $100 million. It cost like 120 to make. It made like 140, so it made like a $20 million profit, which isn't what they wanted. The problem was it was too expensive. Make it on a $40 million budget, then you got an $80 million profit. Mm-hmm. That's the problem with him. Here's the problem with him.
173 million worldwide.
That's not a bomb. How much did it cost? How much did it cost? Is that the cost?
Million.
Okay, that's what's the profit? Here's the problem though. That's $123 million profit. Here's the problem is that he'll make a movie that's like expensive. Him and a lot of people do this. It's like Will Ferrell, he's a big star. All the kids love him, right? Mm-hmm. So he'll make a movie that's like $100 million cost. And it'll make like $50 or $60 million profit. Because he's a big star, he's more expensive versus he makes some movie for 20 million and makes 60 million, he's not a failure. But that happens to everybody. Because once you become a star, you're like $20 million a movie. So the movie's already $20 million in the hole just on you. And then like if it's not well received, like you basically either make your money back or I don't know. I guess somehow they make money on demand. I still don't know how they do that.
Well, and then pretty much that was his movie career.
What, Anchorman?
At this point. No, just everything we've talked about. He did a stint with he did an HBO special where he played on every minor league, not every, but
oh yeah,
like 10 minor league teams.
I forgot about
Day.
that.
What else did he do?
He did the Anchorman podcast, the Ron Burgundy podcast.
Did you listen to any of that? Have you listened to that?
No.
I think people are tired. I mean, not tired, but either it's lost. He's lost his. I mean, how old is that character? 15?
I have a problem with it, not because of Ron Burgundy. I have a problem with it for different reasons. I think it's just a stupid idea.
Yeah. But he has made us laugh many, many, many times. Oh, and then he did the drummer thing with Chad Smith.
Oh, was that Conan or Jimmy Fallon? Which one was that?
I think it was Fallon.
Okay.
Yep. So while he's searching for his next, well, like, I mean, you think he's going to even, like, his latest thing was still another goofy comedy.
His next thing will be on Apple TV. The Shrink Next Door, starring Will Ferrell and none other than the guy you look like, Paul Rudd. 8-episode limited series based on the Wondery podcast. Michael Showalter, do you know who that is?
Yes. So
He's
it's going to be
directing it. Yeah, he's directing it. And it's a true events that detail a bizarre relationship between a psychiatrist and played by Rudd, and a longtime patient, played by Ferrell.
I will watch that.
Apple TV?
I will watch that.
I'll
find a way to watch that.
Even if it's illegally, we'll watch it. We'll support you.
Support you whether you make money off of it or not.
That actually sounds good, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Paul Rudd, so anything. His latest Netflix series is great. I don't know if it got canceled or like he clones him. He doesn't clone himself, but someone makes a clone of him.
Oh, wow. No, I haven't checked that out.
It's good. It's short. It's like 6-7 episodes. It's on, I don't know, no idea what it's called. But it was good. I recommend it.
With Will Ferrell, though, like, watching SNL became an event, didn't it?
Yes. We'll talk about the good old days, the better days of Will Ferrell, in our opinion. Yeah, just, man. What cheerleader sketch? Yeah, anytime the cheerleader sketch came on, just anytime.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just anytime he was on the screen, just kind of like Sandler and Farley. Anytime they were, well, not Sandler. Anytime Farley, anytime whatever character he did, it was great.
There's two that come to mind. I can hear myself. There's two that come to mind. There's one where there's a baseball game and the kid's playing baseball. And he's just like drinking beer and he's screaming, "Get out of the damn bag! Get out of the damn bag!"
That is one of my. Well, it started with The Shed.
Oh,
Yeah,
get off
It just starts. This is talking like a one-off character. Just hey, just grill and talk about small talk, weather, this and that. Hey, can you get off the shed? Yeah, what about that? Hey, I said get off the shed. Yeah, and what about Tommy? If I have to tell you one more time, get off the goddamn shed. So,
childhood.
Oh, and then the exact same character. I drive a Dodge Stratus.
I showed that in one of my projects. I had to give a presentation, and I showed that. And it's so, like, uncomfortable, but it's funny.
I think he created that, not created. He made, that was his shtick. That was his
the genre.
Yeah. Uncomfortable, at least at that time. Awkward.
Does that work anymore?
Does anything work anymore? I don't know. What does work now? I don't know.
Good point. Bill Brasky. Do you remember Bill Brasky?
Bill Brasky was a son of a bitch.
He just had a fingernail, like the Bill Brasky.
To Bill Brasky, to Will Ferrell. I just recommend just going back, and I don't know if it's on demand anywhere, but the best of Will Ferrell DVD at the time. I'm sure it's on Amazon or something. I don't know if it's free.
Remember Zoolander?
Yes.
Again, that's an okay movie in my opinion, but his character was the shit.
Oh yeah. What was his name? The
Mustafa or some shit.
Yeah. No, Mustafa. That was the Austin Powers character, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
Where he died. He couldn't die. I'm badly burned. I'm gonna need some ointment.
There's something about him that just made you laugh, made you smile when you saw his face.
Yes.
I don't know if he's lost that or if he's just not with the right people or what, but like, I mean, I genuinely laughed and like, the Jeopardy.
Celebrity Jeopardy.
Him and Norm. Now Norm Macdonald stayed on too. He was on the Adam Sandler cast I mentioned earlier. He stayed on. He didn't get fired initially. Obviously, he had a nasty exit as well later on. Yeah. But yeah, Burt Reynolds, Sean Connery, and it was an interchangeable third celebrity that was like the host.
Well, Will Ferrell was always the host.
I mean, like the host of the SNL. Like,
yeah.
Third contestant was whoever the host was playing somebody.
Yeah.
That was some great stuff.
Well, I recommend anybody go and check out any Will Ferrell skit. I don't know how you can. I'm sure it's locked down by some streaming service, but if you have it, go watch some Saturday Night Live starring Will Ferrell because it's all good stuff.
It's probably on that Peacock thing. That's supposed to be free, right?
Probably. I can't keep track anymore.
It only costs your soul.
Yeah, it only costs your social security number that Chinese hackers are going to steal.
Like, hey, you get a free 30-day trial. Just give us everything about you.
Yep.
Give us a blood sample. All right.
Anyway.
Well, he was a very powerful force on us growing up with funny shit.
Yes.
So, and I feel obligated to still support him today. That's all I'll say about Will Ferrell because he gave me years of laughter.
Thank you, Will, for the years of laughter, and I hope we've helped your career by them. If you could hear our laughs every night, that doesn't make any sense. But
I want to laugh in a jar and send it to him so he can listen to it.
What did you say? Typical Will Ferrell. All right. We'll discuss. So we haven't talked about what next episode is going to be, but I'm sure it'll be a good one.
Tool.
We'll do Saturday Night Live at some point, but
Tool. Do Tool next week.
Tool. All right.
Tool. Do a Tool or do a Tool album. You get like real niche with it.
That'll be the surprise for next time.
Ooh, a cliffhanger.
Check out same pod time, same pod channel link.
Like the end of The Sopranos just went black. What happened?
Bye.